2135 The 10 Royal Phoenix Clan's Decision, 2.
Before we begin, I would like to ask you something.
Feng Lingyang suddenly stepped forward.
Go ahead.
Yuan calmly nodded.
Why are you enemies with the Celestial Emperor? A good question. Unfortunately, I do not know the answer to that question. What? You don't know why you're enemies with the Celestial Emperor? How is that even possible?
Said the leader of the Crimson Rebirth Phoenix Clan.
I bet you he's making it up.
Said the Primordial Phoenix.
What would I gain from making this up? I've never even met the Celestial Emperor. Yet, he placed a curse on me, for some reason. Are you trying to claim that the Celestial Emperor showed you hostility for no reason? Sorry, but I don't believe that.
Said the leader of the Imperial Vermilion Phoenix Clan. The Primordial Phoenix burst into laughter.
You're so desperate to paint the Celestial Emperor as a villain, but all you're doing is making yourself look like a fool.
He turned to face the others and spoke loudly.
Is this really someone you want to serve? A jealous, arrogant, and foolish human like him?
The room fell into silence. But it did not last long, for it was soon broken by the leader of the Crimson Rebirth Phoenix Clan, who declared firmly.
The Crimson Rebirth Phoenix Clan rejects your offer, Immortal Monarch. We will continue to stand with the Celestial Emperor.
Then, like a chain reaction, the others began voicing their decisions.
The Immortal Ember Phoenix Clan refuses your offer, Immortal Monarch. The Burning Lotus Phoenix Clan also refuses.
The Radiant Phoenix Clan refuses. One after another, the rejections echoed through the chamber, pouring in without pause.
My Imperial Vermilion Phoenix Clan rejects your offer. Looks like no one's willing to side with you, huh? Just as I predicted.
The Primordial Phoenix mocked. Yet despite the wave of rejections, Yuan remained calm and composed. Eventually, only a single clan had yet to respond, the one clan that still hadn't refused Yuan's offer.
Mother!
Feng Haoyu looked at his mother, his face tight with worry. The others in the chamber turned their glares upon her, and under the crushing weight of their stares, Feng Lingyang swallowed hard, her body trembling.
What's wrong, Feng Lingyang? We're all waiting for you.
Said Feng Tianhuang, the Imperial Vermilion Phoenix Clan's leader. Feng Lingyang closed her eyes and took several deep breaths. When she opened her eyes again, they flickered with resolution.
The Rising Phoenix Clan will accept your offer, Immortal Monarch.
Feng Lingyang declared. Feng Haoyu and the Grand Elder's faces lit up with joy at her words, while the other clans openly displayed their disappointment and disdain, making no effort to conceal it.
What is the meaning of this, Feng Lingyang?
Feng Tianhuang stepped forward, her body radiating oppressive pressure.
Explain yourself,
she demanded. Feng Lingyang met her gaze steadily.
Why should I need to explain myself? While I am grateful to the Imperial Vermilion Phoenix Clan for allowing us into the ranks of the Royal Phoenix Clans, you do not own us, nor do we owe you an explanation. Still, as a courtesy, I'll tell you. As clan leader, I have an obligation to heed the will of my people, and the vast majority wish to follow the Immortal Monarch. Quite simple, isn't it? You will regret your decision. I'll deal with it when that time comes.
Feng Tianhuang sneered.
As much as I'd like to expel the Rising Phoenix Clan from the 10 Royal Phoenix Clans right this moment, protocol must be followed. That said, it will take little effort to see you removed. Then allow me to save you the trouble.
Feng Lingyang declared.
From this moment onward, the Rising Phoenix Clan renounces its title and withdraws from the 10 Royal Phoenix Clans. From now on, we shall stand as an independent clan once more.
The room fell into stunned silence, the atmosphere growing oppressively heavy. None of the other Phoenix clans had ever anticipated such an outcome. Though none of them spoke aloud, a few secretly admired Feng Lingyang's courage. She had dared to stand up for herself when they could not. In truth, some among them also wished to side with the Immortal Monarch, but fear of the Imperial Vermilion Phoenix Clan and the Primordial Phoenix kept them silent.
You will not regret your decision.
Yuan's voice suddenly rang out, shattering the silence.
From this moment on, The Rising Phoenix clan is under my protection. Should anyone dare to harm them, I, the Immortal Monarch, will unleash my full power to destroy the offender.
Yuan's words were not merely a welcome to the Rising Phoenix clan. They were also a warning: if any dared to retaliate against them for their choice, he would personally see to their destruction.
Let's go. We've already wasted enough time here.
Feng Tianhuang declared coldly before turning on her heels. Her robes flared as she strode toward the exit, her aura sharp enough to cut the air. Without another word, the remaining Phoenix clans, their expressions ranging from disdain to unease, silently followed her out of the chamber.
So you've managed to deceive one clan to your side, huh?
The primordial Phoenix, who decided to linger a little longer, remarked. Yuan looked directly at the primordial Phoenix and asked.
So, are you going to attack us now?
The primordial Phoenix smirked.
Why would I do that? I wouldn't be surprised if the Celestial Emperor had ordered you to take care of us.
A scoff escaped the primordial Phoenix's lips.
Still trying to make the Celestial Emperor look like a villain, huh? Sorry, but it won't work. Although you've stirred up trouble for the Royal Phoenix clans, you've done nothing that warrants punishment. Clans breaking ties or shifting allegiance are things that happen constantly in the cultivation world. It's nothing new or illegal.
His tone was dismissive, but the cold gleam in his eyes made it clear that he wasn't very pleased about the outcome, as he'd expected a complete victory. 2136 Immortal Monarch's Grand Blessing. After a brief silence, the primordial Phoenix finally spoke.
Though I cannot punish you for luring the Rising Phoenix clan to your side, I can certainly punish you for slandering the Celestial Emperor's name. Just because you refuse to believe it doesn't make it slander.
Yuan replied calmly.
Still, if you wish to fight, I'll be more than willing to oblige.
The primordial Phoenix silently swept his gaze over Yuan and the others in the chamber. Alongside Yuan and Feng Yuxiang stood Feng Lingyang, Feng Haoyu, and the Grand Elder. Though his cultivation surpassed them all, he ultimately chose not to act.
You should be grateful the Celestial Emperor forbade me from touching you,
the primordial Phoenix said.
At least for now.
Yuan raised his brows in surprise.
Oh, the Celestial Emperor told you not to fight me? How unusual. Or perhaps he intends to deal with me personally. The Celestial Emperor has far more important matters than wasting time on an insect like you.
The primordial Phoenix sneered, then turned and strode toward the exit.
Of course, the same goes for me.
After saying that, the primordial Phoenix left the room and disappeared from the summit shortly after.
So what now?
Feng Yuxiang turned to look at Yuan and asked.
Let's return to the Rising Phoenix clan for now,
he said.
All right.
As they traveled, Yuan said.
I will fulfill my promise to you and strengthen the entire Rising Phoenix clan. Once we arrive, can you gather everyone for me?
Feng Lingyang immediately nodded in agreement. Before long, they returned to the Rising Phoenix clan's territory. At Yuan's request, Feng Lingyang swiftly summoned every member of the clan. Yet even before she could announce the results of their journey, the clan members already understood the outcome, as Yuan's very presence within their grounds spoke louder than words. Yuan cleared his throat and spoke loudly.
As you may have already realized, your leader has accepted my offer. From this day forward, the Rising Phoenix clan stands under my command. If you are unwilling to follow me, I will grant you the chance to leave now,
Yuan declared.
There is no need for words or explanations. Simply depart in silence, and no punishment will follow.
He then stood in patient silence, giving time to those who wished to go. After several minutes, a handful of figures quietly took to the skies, vanishing into the distance without a trace. Yet, despite their departure, the overwhelming majority of the clan remained.
Anyone else?
He asked. When the remaining members shook their heads, Yuan nodded.
Very well. As a reward for choosing to stand with me, I will bestow upon you all a blessing.
With a single gesture, Yuan directed his will toward the gathered clan members. At once, the heavens above bloomed with radiant golden symbols, each one pulsing with profound might.
Those who choose to serve me, accept the immortal monarch's symbol. From that moment forth, you shall be my followers, and my decree shall be your law.
One by one, the clan members reached out to the golden symbols, allowing them to sink into their bodies and fuse with their dantians. Once everyone had accepted his symbol, Yuan activated another skill. Immortal Monarch's Grand Blessing has been activated. In the blink of an eye, a wave of radiant power swept across the rising Phoenix clan. Unlike an ordinary blessing, the Grand Blessing etched its effects permanently into the bodies of all who had accepted his symbol.
This feeling, my body, it's overflowing with power.
Cries of astonishment echoed as the clan members suddenly felt their strength rising beyond imagination.
This is the immortal monarch's power.
Feng Lingyang mumbled, her voice filled with awe. However, Yuan shook his head and said,
This is just a simple blessing. The real thing begins now.
Yuan pricked his fingertip, letting a stream of blood flow forth. It quickly condensed into a sphere the size of a fist, hovering in his palm. With a firm clench, the sphere burst apart, scattering into countless drops of crimson light. Guided by his will, one drop entered the mouth of every clan member present. The clan members shuddered in ecstasy, their senses overwhelmed by the peerless taste of his blood, a flavor surpassing every delicacy they had encountered in their lives.
I just fed each of you a drop of my blood. Soon, your bloodline purity will improve.
He said to them a moment later.
Just like that. If you can't believe it, you can test your bloodline.
Yuan remarked.
Hand me the golden phoenix needle.
Feng Lingyang commanded loudly. The next moment, one of the elders approached her with the needle in hand. Feng Lingyang immediately tested her bloodline while everyone watched in anticipation. When the results appeared seconds later, Feng Lingyang's hands went limp. The golden phoenix needle slipped from her grasp and clattered to the floor as she stood frozen, her face blank with shock.
Clan leader, what's wrong?
The Grand Elder cried, his voice laced with worry.
In my bloodline,
she whispered in a daze. Too shaken to form her thoughts into words, she simply lifted her trembling fingers and pointed toward the fallen needle. The Grand Elder bent down and picked up the fallen golden phoenix needle, his gaze fixed upon the results.
By the heavens!
He exclaimed, his voice trembling as his eyes grew wide with disbelief. The other elders hastened to gather around him. When their eyes fell upon the results, their expressions froze, as though their very souls had been shaken.
91.2%.
One of the elders revealed.
What?
Gasps rippled through the crowd as the rest of the members heard the result, their surprise mirroring the elders' reactions. None of them, however, knew the hidden truth, that Feng Lingyang's bloodline had long been weakened by a curse, a secret known only to the elders and a select few. Therefore, in their eyes, Feng Lingyang's bloodline had only increased by 2%, not 6%, as her bloodline had weakened to 85.2%. 2137 Acquiring the final ancient seal.
In my blood. I must test my bloodline.
The Grand Elder stammered, quickly seizing the golden phoenix needle after snapping out of his daze. Moments later, his eyes widened, and he exclaimed with unrestrained joy.
90.9%. My bloodline purity has surpassed 90%. This is a miracle.
Stirred by his words, the other elders hastily tested themselves as well. Sure enough, nearly all of them discovered that their bloodline purity had risen by 4 to 5%.
My lord, with only a single drop of your blood, our bloodlines have undergone unimaginable growth. And to think the Celestial Emperor only offered us no more than 3%.
One of them exclaimed. Yet even in their excitement, unease gnawed at their hearts, as the result seemed almost too good to be true.
Immortal Monarch, forgive my boldness, but what kind of drawbacks should we expect from this?
Someone finally asked, instantly silencing the place. The clamor of celebration died down at once, and every gaze there shifted to Yuan, their faces full of worry and realization. They all knew that although innumerable treasures existed beneath the heavens, many of them had effects that were more detrimental than beneficial. Now that their excitement had died down and their minds had cleared up, they began wondering what sacrifices must be made for such a powerful boost to their bloodline. However, what came out of Yuan's mouth in just a moment left them all stunned again.
Drawbacks? There are none. You can enjoy your improved bloodline without such needless worry. Are you serious?
Even Feng Lingyang couldn't believe it. Yuan smiled and said,
If you think I am lying, I can swear on my soul. That won't be necessary. We believe you. It's just, I didn't expect such an overpowered ability to exist. Maybe that's why the Celestial Emperor is trying to get rid of you.
Yuan chuckled.
If you think this is overpowered, just wait until I fully recover my strength. Recover? Are you injured?
Feng Haoyu asked in surprise.
No.
Yuan replied calmly.
I only reincarnated recently. So much of my power has yet to return. I see.
Feng Haoyu murmured.
Anyway, I have fulfilled the first part of our agreement. As for evolving your bloodline, you'll need to wait until I recover more of my strength, as I currently lack the ability to do so.
Feng Lingyang nodded.
Don't worry. We never expected you to improve our bloodline so quickly in the first place, much less evolve it. Thank you for your understanding. So, what's the plan now? What do you want the Rising Phoenix clan to do?
Feng Lingyang asked. Yuan's expression grew solemn.
For now, focus on training and familiarizing yourselves with your newfound strength. I cannot say when, but I am certain the Celestial Emperor and the other Royal Phoenix clans will not stay still and will soon act.
Feng Lingyang sighed at his words, but she was not surprised. In fact, she anticipated something like this would happen and had already mentally prepared for it.
I don't know about the Celestial Emperor, but the Royal Phoenix clans will definitely come after our clan for humiliating and defying them. However, I doubt they will come after us anytime soon. At least not until they figure out your prowess and whether or not they would be able to get away with it. In that case, I'll leave the Phoenix Rising clan for now and return later,
said Yuan.
I understand. Before I go.
Yuan looked at Feng Lingyang and made a beckoning gesture with his hands. Feng Lingyang stared at his hand with a puzzled face for a moment before she finally realized what he wanted from her.
Give me a minute. I'll grab that for you now.
Without another word, Feng Lingyang flew away, disappearing deep into their territory. About half an hour later, Feng Lingyang returned with a spatial ring in her grasp.
I'm sorry it took so long, but here's the thing you wanted,
she said as she offered the ring to him. Yuan accepted it and looked inside. Sure enough, the ancient seal was inside.
Thank you.
With the fourth and final ancient seal in his grasp, Yuan could finally enter the primordial realm and meet with Xiao Hua's family, the Azura clan.
Can you tell me why you want the ancient seal now?
Feng Lingyang asked. Yuan smiled and said,
The ancient seals only serve one purpose. What else am I going to do with it?
Feng Lingyang swallowed nervously. I knew he wanted to open the primordial realm, but I wanted to believe the ancient seal had other purposes. She sighed inwardly.
Can I ask why you're trying to open it? Some of my friends from the past are imprisoned within, and I intend to free them,
Yuan said.
But the primordial realm is filled with...
Feng Lingyang began, but she stopped herself before uttering the word criminal.
I know what you want to say, but not everyone inside the primordial realm is a criminal. The previous celestial emperors have imprisoned innocent people inside, just for standing up to him. All right, I won't question it anymore. I'm sure you have your reasons.
Sometime later, before Yuan left the Rising Phoenix clan's territory, he said to Feng Lingyang,
If anyone dares to mess with your clan, don't hesitate to contact me.
Feng Lingyang nodded with a smile and said,
Don't worry. Our Rising Phoenix clan isn't so weak that anyone could bully us. We didn't earn the title Royal Phoenix clan by luck, after all. However, if we do encounter a situation we cannot handle, we will definitely request your help. Even if nothing happens, I'll visit once I regain enough power to evolve your bloodline. What about me, young master? Is there anything I can do for you?
Feng Hao Yu asked.
Continue doing what you normally do. I'll contact you if I ever need your help. As you command.
With that, Yuan left the Rising Phoenix clan.
Are we going straight to the primordial realm?
Feng Yuxiang asked Yuan shortly later. He shook his head and replied.
No, I still need to prepare some more.
2138 100 million. After leaving the Rising Phoenix clan, Yuan traveled straight to his next destination to prepare for the primordial realm.
The Abyssal underground? You wanted to come back here?
Feng Yuxiang quickly realized where he was trying to go. He nodded and explained.
I still need a few more million kills to complete my quest, so I might as well finish it up before I head to the primordial realm.
The primordial realm was filled with dangerous immortals and even God Ascension realm cultivators. If he wanted to traverse it safely, he needed to prepare properly for it. Some time later, Yuan returned to the Abyssal underground. This time, instead of looking for a guide, he flew straight into the entrance, disappearing into the void. However, instead of starting his hunt at the 300th level, Yuan went as far as the 500th level, where the creatures were all between the first and second level of God Ascension. Once he ensured there was nobody nearby, he retrieved the baneful abyss and began spreading the poison mist, quickly gaining kills again. As Yuan remained inside the Abyssal underground, word of the Immortal Monarch's return surged through the 9 heavens like a tempest, shaking every beast clan to its core. Though everyone was skeptical in the beginning, the moment it was revealed that the royal Phoenix clans themselves had spread the news, every shred of doubt was dispelled.
From what I heard, the Immortal Monarch vanished without a word after the divine heaven split, becoming the 9 heavens. Where do you think he'd been this entire time? I think only the Immortal Monarch will be able to answer that question. The Immortal Monarch's return has serious implications. I can imagine things will get chaotic very soon, especially with the beast clans. What do you think he's going to do now that he returns? Continue what he did in the past. His goal in the past was to unify humans and beasts. Since we're coexisting with each other properly now, I bet he'll find other things to do.
As word of the Immortal Monarch's return spread to every corner of the world, it seemed as though the very heavens and earth resounded with his name, and for the next several months, one would not be able to go anywhere without hearing his name at least once. Of course, in the realm of the beast clans, his name was uttered with even greater frequency, for the Immortal Monarch's legacy carried unparalleled weight among them.
The Immortal Monarch may have returned, but the 9 Divine Supremes are still gone. Haven't you heard? Dragon Goddess Yayo has also returned. That's just 1 out of 9, though. The Eater of Stars is also alive, at least according to someone who last saw it wandering the starry sky several hundred years ago. Isn't this an opportunity for us to replace those who are gone, though? Replace them? You're delusional if you think you have the capability to become one of the 9 Divine Supremes. I know that, you idiot. However, it doesn't change the fact that their positions are now open, and we may see new ones soon. That is assuming the Immortal Monarch wants to replace them. Haven't you heard? The Immortal Monarch has already begun recruiting people to his side, and the Rising Phoenix clan has already offered its loyalty to him. Huh? Isn't the Rising Phoenix clan one of the 10 Royal Phoenix clans? Not anymore. They left the Royal clans to join the Immortal Monarch.
Beast clans from every corner of the world began dispatching envoys to seek out the Immortal Monarch, knowing full well he would never come to them and that they would have to approach him themselves if they wished to stand by his side. Meanwhile, somewhere in the 9 heavens, a powerful pressure enveloped a vast area when a certain individual learned of the Immortal Monarch's return.
What? That bastard is still alive and has returned.
The Great One roared, his voice loud enough to crack the space around him.
I swear, if you're messing with me, I'll fucking rip you limb from limb.
The messenger quickly replied.
I swear on my soul that it's true. The entire world is talking about it. Damn it, why now of all time?
The Great One gritted his teeth in frustration. Just when he thought he could pursue Dragon Goddess Yayo in peace, his biggest competition made a return.
Where? Where is this bastard? He was last seen at the Rising Phoenix clan's territory, but nobody has seen or heard from him in a few weeks. Are you going to give them a visit?
The Great One narrowed his gaze. Then, after a moment of silence, he responded.
Are you insane? Why would I seek him out when I don't even want to see that bastard? Get lost. And my apologies. This lowly subordinate will leave immediately.
The messenger hurriedly disappeared from his presence.
Immortal monarch, looks like the heavens are on my side and want to see me defeat you.
The Great One laughed out loud, his voice causing the air to tremble. 2 months have passed since Yuan entered the underground Abyssal. Progress, 100,000/100,000,000. You have fulfilled a requirement for the unique quest.
Thank goodness for the baneful abyss's poisonous abilities. Without them, this quest would have taken far longer.
Yuan shuddered at the thought of facing 100 million foes without its convenient ability. Having completed this requirement, Yuan now faced but a single remaining trial before he could resume the use of heaven's supremacy.
I will need to evolve my physique again before I can enter the true immortal realm.
He thought he would be able to force his way to the true immortal realm by consuming the dragon ancestor's blood essence, but it didn't happen. However, he did gain several new abilities as a result.
Next stop, White Hell.
With his next destination decided, Yuan cleaned up the poison mist before leaving the abyssal underground. 2139 White Hell. White Hell, a place so perilous it earned the name Gateway to Hell. There were 4 such forbidden lands within the 9 heavens, and Yuan had already explored one of them, the Vanishing Valley. Being one of the coldest places in the 9 heavens, White Hell is a vast expanse of endless snow and towering mountains, shrouded in extreme cold. The chill is so severe that even those with strong cold resistance struggle to survive in its outer regions, let alone venture into its depths. And yet, in spite of its peril and the countless lives it claims, White Hell draws thousands of cultivators every year, some to hone their strength, others to pursue the treasures buried within its icy depths. All of this was made possible by the Sun God's Temple, a unique sanctuary where cultivators gathered to cultivate their yang qi. They also possessed a powerful treasure that, while unable to eliminate the cold of White Hell, granted enough resistance for cultivators to endure its frost and traverse its perilous lands. This treasure was known as the Sun God's Lake, a small yet extraordinary lake within the Sun God's Temple's territory. Not only was OT one of the most sought-after training areas in the world, but it could even evolve one's physique. Naturally, it could not be taken into White Hell itself. Instead, it was used to imbue sun stones, small rock-like objects that shielded their bearers from the cold. However, the sun stones carried limited power, losing their effectiveness after a certain period of time. To obtain one, cultivators had to approach the Sun God's Temple and make an offering in exchange, whether it be spirit stones or treasures. Right outside the White Hell's entrance, several individuals wearing the Sun God's Temple's outfit could be seen talking to a group of female cultivators.
This here is the 1-year sunstone, which you will need to traverse White Hell safely.
In one member's hand rested a glowing pebble, radiating such immense yang qi that it warmed the air around them, even in the freezing cold.
It has soaked in the Sun God's Lake for a year, and it will last for 10 years while inside White Hell.
Then, he produced another glowing pebble, this one radiating an even fiercer yang qi.
And this,
he said,
is a 100-year sunstone. It will last for 100 years in the outer regions, and its might is sufficient to defy the cold of the 2nd region, reaching even into the 3rd.
White Hell was divided into 9 regions, beginning with the outer region. The deeper one ventured, the colder and more perilous it became. As for the Sun Stone, the most refined ones could allow a cultivator to venture safely into the 5th region. However, each stone needed to be immersed in the Sun God's Lake for over 1,000,000 years, making them unimaginably expensive. One might
Today is
assume the
Sunday,
Sun
Lord.
God's Temple could simply throw countless sun stones into the lake to satisfy demand. However, doing so would drain the lake's power, and since its primary purpose was as a training ground, the temple was unwilling to create too many.
I would like to venture into the 4th region.
One of the female cultivators said.
Then you will need a 10,000-year sunstone, and it will only last you 10 years in the 3rd region,
said one of the Sun God Temple's disciples. The female cultivator nodded and calmly handed a spatial pouch to the man.
Is this donation enough?
She asked. The disciple peeked into the spatial pouch and nodded.
Yes, this is more than enough. Thank you for your donation. Here is a 10,000-year sunstone.
He handed her the sun stone.
The sunstone will begin to lose its glow when it's near its limit, so make sure you leave White Hell the moment you see it. I understand.
One by one, the female cultivators purchased a sun stone before stepping into White Hell. A few hours later, another group of female cultivators arrived, their matching attire revealing that they belonged to the same sect.
I'd like to purchase 2,300-year sunstone.
The woman leading the group handed a spatial ring to one of the disciples, who then quickly checked the ring and handed the sun stones to them. Minutes after they departed, another figure appeared at the entrance. This time it was not a beautiful female cultivator but a strikingly handsome man. The disciples of the sun god's temple watched as he approached, expecting him to purchase a sun stone. To their surprise, however, the handsome man ignored them entirely and strode straight past.
Wait a second. Where are you going?
One of the disciples subconsciously called out to him in a surprised tone. The handsome man stopped walking and turned to look at him.
What does it look like I am going?
He calmly responded. Another disciple spoke.
Do you already have a sunstone? Or what?
The disciples were baffled by this man's ignorance. How could one even think about entering White Hell without their sunstone?
You don't even know what a sunstone is, and you're attempting to challenge White Hell? Are you courting death?
The handsome man smiled and asked.
So, the sunstone keeps me safe from the cold within White Hell. Is that correct? That's right.
If you want. The man interrupted and said.
In that case, I don't need it. Excuse me.
The disciples' eyes widened with surprise, wondering if they'd misheard him.
I came to White Hell to train, so the sunstone will only hinder me. Now, if you will excuse me.
Before the disciples could even open their mouths again, the handsome man turned around and continued moving toward White Hell, quickly vanishing into the snowstorm. Congratulations, you have finished listening to the current content. As they ventured deeper into the second region, magical beasts began to appear, many concealed beneath the snow, striking from ambush. With danger lurking at every step, the women soon stopped paying attention to Yuan, turning their focus entirely to their own safety. Of course, a few of them couldn't resist sneaking glances at Yuan, who trailed behind in silence, almost like a stalker. That said, there were still thousands of miles separating them. Eventually, one of them realized that no magical beasts had attacked Yuan for several days, even though their own group was assaulted constantly. This left them greatly puzzled. Yuan made no attempt to conceal his presence, nor employed any special means, yet for reasons beyond their understanding, the magical beasts left him untouched.
Why aren't the magical beasts attacking him?
One of them finally asked.
What if he's not trying to impress us, but instead using us as bait?
Another suggested cautiously.
Elder, should we question him? He's only a golden immortal, so I doubt he can do anything to us, but I have a bad feeling about him.
The woman leading them said calmly.
We've been moving in a straight line since entering White Hell. It might just be a coincidence. If you're that concerned, we can stop and let him pass us.
The others agreed with her suggestion and chose to rest. They carved out a massive crater in the snow before settling down inside it. A few minutes later, Yuan had caught up to them. They silently hoped he would keep flying past, but their expressions darkened when he suddenly stopped directly above them.
I knew it. He's up to no good.
One of the ladies hastily exclaimed. 2141 White Hell, 3. When the group of ladies noticed Yuan stopping right above them, they hastily retrieved their weapons and prepared to fight him.
What do you want from us, you stalker?
One of them shouted at him. Yuan raised an eyebrow.
Stalker? Just because we're heading in the same direction doesn't mean I am stalking you. It's just a coincidence.
He calmly replied.
Then why did you stop? If you're not here for us, then hurry up and get lost.
After a moment of silence, Yuan responded.
In that case, I'll stop bothering you and be right on my way. Sorry for the disturbance.
Without another word, Yuan flew away.
What a creepy fellow, right?
Only after Yuan's presence vanished entirely did the group allow themselves to breathe freely, settling back into their rest. However, their rest was short-lived, as the earth beneath them quaked without warning, sending a jolt of alarm through the group.
What's going on?
The leader's voice rang out sharply.
An ambush. Take to the air.
At that instant, the ground split wide, and from its depths burst a colossal serpent, its body clad in translucent scales that gleamed like sculpted ice.
It's a White Hell glacial serpent, the strongest magical beast in the second region. Run. We don't stand a chance against a monster like that. Scatter.
The group quickly scattered in different directions, hoping to confuse the serpent. But the beast was swift and decisive, striking immediately at the weakest among them. Unfortunately, there was nothing anyone could do for her. After several moments of desperate struggle, the female cultivator was devoured by the beast. However, the beast was not satisfied and immediately chased after its next prey. In truth, Yuan had noticed the magical beast and wanted to warn them, but they chased him away before he could do so, even calling him a stalker. A few days later, Yuan stepped into the third region. Here, the hail grew even more violent, its force great enough to pierce through ordinary spiritual energy. To withstand it, one needed immortal chi, making this region accessible only to immortal cultivators. Your cold resistance has improved. Though his cold immunity was progressing much faster than the second region, it was hardly enough to satisfy Yuan, so he continued going deeper. As Yuan traversed the third region, magical beasts at the golden immortal level would constantly attack him. Unlike the second region, the beasts in the third region did not fear his aura. Naturally, none of them posed even the slightest threat to him, and all it took was a single attack with Supreme Sword aura to one-shot the beasts. Since he had come to train, Yuan didn't bother using immortal chi to shield himself from the hail. Though the ice shards couldn't pierce his skin, each impact left a layer of frost, freezing his flesh on contact. Your cold resistance has improved. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed, and Yuan stepped into the fourth region. Here, the hail had ceased, and the skies were clear, yet the temperature had dropped even further. The cold was so intense that Yuan's body was continuously being frozen just by existing within it.
Still not enough.
Yuan muttered as he proceeded to make his way toward the fifth region. Although his cold immunity had been pushed to its limit after consuming the tear of the azure heavens, it still had not reached the realm of cold harmony. A few hours into his journey toward the fifth region, Yuan spotted a lone figure locked in battle with a mammoth-like magical beast. The creature was nearly the size of a small mountain, and a gleaming blue crystal was embedded between its brows. The cultivator was at the first level of God Ascension, while the beast was only at the true immortal realm. Yet the extreme cold rendered her movement stiff, and much of her focus was spent maintaining a shield of immortal chi to protect her body. Not wishing to disturb her, Yuan quietly flew past without stopping. Some time later, Yuan finally reached the border of the fifth region. Even without stepping inside, he could sense that his cold immunity would be useless there. Unlike the previous four regions, the fifth was a mountain valley, where a raging snowstorm howled between towering peaks in every direction. After mentally preparing himself, Yuan entered the fifth region. The instant he entered the fifth region, Yuan's body began turning into an ice statue. Your cold resistance has improved greatly. Still not content with the progress speed, Yuan chose to advance toward the sixth region. Yet without a sunstone or other protective treasure, his body froze solid the instant he attempted to proceed. Thus, he summoned forth his true primordial fire, engulfing himself in its blaze as though donning a fiery armor, to withstand the frigid domain. With the true primordial fire shielding him, Yuan's body instantly thawed, granting him freedom of movement once more. In fact, the fire's power was so overwhelming that he couldn't even feel the cold in the slightest. Without hesitation, Yuan flew straight into the sixth region. The deeper one ventured into white hell, the smaller each region became. While it had taken him nearly 3 months to travel from the outer region to the fifth, it required only a single week to reach the sixth. Upon entering the sixth region, Yuan began searching for a suitable place to cultivate. After a few minutes of wandering, he settled on a random cave and stepped inside. Once he was ready, Yuan extinguished the true primordial fire. The warmth vanished in an instant, and his body was immediately overwhelmed by the immense cold, freezing him solid like a statue and turning his very blood to ice. Your cold resistance has improved drastically. Despite every inch of his body, even his organs and blood, being frozen solid, Yuan remained alive, forced to endure the endless agony. Time flowed swiftly, and before long, a year had passed. Throughout it all, Yuan remained encased in ice, an unmoving statue in the heart of the sixth region. 2142 White Hell, 4. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years slipped by since Yuan began his cultivation in White Hell's sixth region. For all that time, he remained a frozen statue within an unremarkable cave, one among countless others scattered through the land. While he had spent most of that time alone, sometime during his second year, he received an unexpected visitor. It happened one seemingly ordinary night, when a lone figure suddenly flew into his cave and crashed to the ground. The intruder was a woman, her body battered with wounds and stained with frozen blood. However, having fallen unconscious shortly after entering the cave, she remained unaware of Yuan's presence. For the next few days, she lingered in a fragile slumber, surviving only thanks to the sunstone clutched tightly in her grasp. Upon awakening, her eyes fell upon Yuan, and for a moment she was startled. However, she quickly calmed once she mistook him for nothing more than a frozen corpse.
Damn it. You scare me for a moment.
She muttered, sitting up and leaning her back against the wall. For the next several days, she kept her eyes fixed on the cave's entrance with unwavering vigilance, as though expecting someone to appear.
I doubt they would be foolish enough to follow me to the sixth region,
she muttered. The next moment, she retrieved several recovery pills and swallowed them, beginning the process of healing her injuries. Although she could have hastened the process through cultivation, she chose not to risk exposing her presence and relied solely on the pills for recovery. A few weeks passed, during which the female cultivator stayed inside the cave without once stepping outside.
At this rate, I should fully recover in about a year.
She muttered as she looked at the sunstone in her grasp.
I'm glad I bought this million-year sunstone after all. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to hide in the 6th region at all.
She sighed. Though the million-year sunstone was considered most effective only up to the 5th region, it could still aid entry into the 6th if the cultivator possessed other advantages, such as unique physiques or powerful treasures. In her case, she had a heaven-defying physique that granted her powerful resistance to the Een element, naturally giving her cold immunity.
Those hateful bastards. Once I recover from my injuries, I'll tear them limb from limb.
Once the female cultivator was certain her pursuers would not suddenly appear, she turned her full focus to recovery. After 10 months had passed and the majority of her wounds had mended, the female cultivator's eyes snapped open. A sound unlike any she had heard in this cave reached her ears, the sharp crack of ice breaking. Until now, only the endless howling of the snowstorm had filled the silence. Startled, she stood and turned toward the sound reverberating from the cave's depths. But bewilderment followed, for the only thing at the far end was the frozen corpse, unmoving since the day she had first stumbled upon it nearly a year prior. It had never crossed her mind that the frozen figure might still live. After all, it was completely unprotected, and not even a God Ascension cultivator could survive in this region without some form of protection. When the noise ceased, the female cultivator cautiously approached its source. A moment later, upon reaching the end of the cave, her eyes widened in shock and disbelief. The ice statue she had long assumed to be a corpse was no longer frozen, and standing before her was a man, very much alive.
HM, who are you?
Yuan asked with mild surprise, not expecting company the moment he awoke from cultivation. During his training, he had entered a trance-like state of enlightenment, fully immersing himself and remaining unaware of the female cultivator's presence until he broke free from the ice. The woman could not bring herself to answer. She simply stood there, eyes wide and lips parted in shock, unable to comprehend how this man had endured the merciless cold of the 6th region without the slightest protection. However, the woman quickly snapped out of her daze and stammered.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were alive. I hope I haven't disturbed your training. No, it's fine. I didn't even realize you were here until I woke up.
Yuan said calmly, waving his hand in a dismissive gesture. He then noticed her blood-stained body and asked,
Are you okay? I will take my leave now.
Without another word, the woman turned around and quickly left. Yuan silently watched her depart, making no attempt to stop her. You have achieved cold harmony. His attention shifted to the notification. Completed harmonious heaven refining immortal physique has begun to evolve. Progress, 5%.
How long have I been cultivating?
Yuan asked the others.
3 years.
Yuning calmly responded.
3 years, huh? Not bad, but my training is not finished.
Although he had attained cold harmony, it had yet to reach its full potential. Thus, Yuan left the cave shortly after and began making his way toward the 7th region, determined not to leave White Hell until he achieved the highest attainable realm of cold immunity. Over the course of 5 days, as Yuan made his way toward the 7th region, he encountered only one magical beast. The 6th region's environment was so merciless, so inhospitable, that only the rarest of creatures could exist within its bounds. As Yuan stood at the border of the 7th region, his eyes widened at the sight ahead. On the horizon, a titanic beast, mammoth in form, loomed, its massive frame so towering it rose above the tallest mountains themselves. However, what truly caught his attention was not the mammoth itself, but the faint silhouette of a human, barely visible, seated upon the beast's head. Yuan narrowed his eyes at the distant figure. Though he could not make out their features, he could clearly feel the weight of their gaze fixed upon him. However, the gaze did not linger, and a moment later the mammoth disappeared into the horizon. 2143 The Demon Sealing Factions Return. Once the colossal mammoth and the silhouette disappeared, Yuan entered the 7th region before looking for a random cave. The 7th region was so frigid that even with cold harmony, Yuan needed to cloak himself in true primordial fire just to move. Without it, he would be frozen instantly, reduced to an ice statue. Some time later, Yuan sat cross-legged within a cave and withdrew the true primordial fire, allowing the cold to engulf him, thus beginning his training anew. Normally, it would take thousands, if not millions, of years to advance cold harmony to the next level. But Yuan was forcing his body to the extreme. What truly accelerated his progress, however, was his heaven-defying physique. The heaven-refining physique was a one-of-a-kind existence, so rare that most cultivators had never even heard of it. It first appeared in the primordial era, when Tianyang stumbled upon the heaven-refining crystal that granted him this physique. Yet, even after countless years and many reincarnations, Yuan still could not uncover the true origin of that crystal. Still, despite possessing the heaven-refining physique, Yuan would continue his seclusion in the cave for no less than a decade. Meanwhile, in the seventh heaven, the members of the demon sealing faction returned to the super-perfect physique-tempering sect after spending over a decade training in the outside world, gaining experience as cultivators. Once everyone had returned safely to the sect, they gathered to share their experiences.
It's been a while.
Wang Ming said with a smile.
How was your journey? It was a pain in the ass.
Chu Liuxiang sighed.
No matter where we go, people are always trying to hit on us. And when we brush them off, it somehow always turns into a fight. Thanks to that, my combat experience is now through the roof. Fortunately, my group was made up entirely of men, so we didn't have to worry about anyone hitting on us.
Shi Lang said.
Even so, we still ran into plenty of trouble, mostly cultivators trying to take advantage of us. You guys are getting into fights? Pretty much all of my encounters back away after learning of my background,
said Wu Zhao. The others looked at Wu Zhao and sighed.
You're using Kellen's name as a shield? How are you going to gain experience if you avoid everything? It's not like I avoided every fight. I just avoid the ones I find a pain in the ass.
Once they finished talking about their journey and experiences, Wang Ming asked.
Hey, have you heard anything from Yuan? It's been a while since we last heard from him.
Meishio shook her head and said.
No, he hasn't contacted us since he went to this place called White Hell for training.
Before they parted ways, Yuan gave Meishio, Chu Liuxiang, and Yuro a communication jade slip, allowing them to speak with each other even across great distances. Still, not wanting to interrupt his cultivation, it was usually Yuan who initiated the conversations.
It's been nearly 20 years since we last saw him, and to think back then, we worried when he was gone for only a few months.
Wang Bingbing remarked.
What can we do? As our cultivation increases, so will the time we need to progress. Although it's been nearly 2 decades, it oddly doesn't feel that long.
Wang Ming said.
In the future, we might see each other once every few hundred, if not a few thousand years.
Shi Meili said.
This is just the nature of the cultivation world.
Kellen, who was also there, remarked.
However, you'll quickly get used to it. That said, to think he'd go train at White Hell. He's truly the most reckless person I know. What's that place like?
Shi Murong asked.
It's one of the coldest and most perilous regions in the 9 heavens.
Kellen replied.
There exist 4 domains that cultivators universally avoid, known as the Forbidden Zones. White Hell stands as the 3rd most dangerous of them all. Unless you have a powerful physique or a sunstone from the Sun God's temple, you can forget about visiting that place. Have you ever been there?
Wang Ming asked him.
I've been there several times for training. It's not a pleasant place, especially since I hate the cold.
Kellen shuddered just from recalling his experience within White Hell. Sometime later, Hong Xiuquan asked.
Senior Kellen, what should we do next in our training? Honestly, there's only one thing you can do if you wish to continue improving, and that is to train at other sects. One's better suited to your specific needs.
Kellen replied.
As much as I would like to continue guiding you guys, I have already given you all I can in the basics as a cultivator. From here on, you must refine your own specializations.
He continued.
For example, Wang Xiuing, since your focus is alchemy, I'll recommend you to one of the top sects for alchemists. And Wang Ming, with your swordsmanship, I'll send you to a sword sect. It doesn't have to be a sect, either. I can find you personal teachers if you wish. Of course, if you wish to stay here, I won't stop you.
After a moment of silence, Kellen spoke.
I'll give you all some time to think over it. Once you are decided, I will speak with. I'm willing to go.
Wu Zhao immediately gave a response.
I'm already noticing a drastic decline in my progress, after all.
Before Kellen could say anything else, the others also responded.
I will also go,
said Wang Ming.
Me too,
said Shi Lang. In the end, everyone but Li Jinsi gave a response, agreeing to train at other places.
All right, I'll speak with Senior by later. Not only does he have more connections, but he has much more experience in this field than I do.
Kellen nodded.
What about you, Li Jinsi?
He turned to ask her a moment later. Li Jinsi pondered for a moment before responding.
I think I will continue training by myself. Are you sure? With your talents, you could easily get into the top sects with ease, even without our help.
Kellen said, worried that she might be wasting her potential.
I am.
She confidently confirmed.
If you say so.
Despite saying that, Kellen wasn't going to give up easily. Let's see if Senior Bai can convince her. He thought to himself. 2144 The demon sealing factions return, too.
What about us?
She Meili suddenly asked, referring to herself and Leah, as they were both dragons. Kellen gave her a stiff smile.
To be honest, I'm not sure. I do have a few non-human friends I could reach out to, but I can't promise anything. Do you know of any place where you could train?
She Meili fell silent to ponder, and after a minute of silence, she said.
I do have a place in mind, but I'm not sure they'll be okay with it.
Kellen raised an eyebrow and asked.
Where's this place? The Holy Dragon Clan. I trained with them for some time when I went there with Yuan, and I really enjoyed it. If it weren't for the Celestial Emperor, I would have stayed there to train a little longer.
In truth, she Meili wanted to stay behind with the Holy Dragon Clan at the Dragon Spiral Mountain, but after what happened to them, she felt that it would be inappropriate for her to linger, so she ultimately decided to leave with Yuan.
The Holy Dragon Clan, huh? In that case, I think it would be for the best if you personally reached out to them. Aren't they the ones at the Dragon Spiral Mountain?
Leah asked after recalling their name. She Meili nodded.
That's right. You saw them right after arriving in the Nine Heavens.
Leah recalled the mountain of corpses she saw and asked.
Do you think I can come with you? Of course. It was already my intention to bring you along.
Kellen spoke a moment later.
I'll contact the others immediately, but it might take some time for a response. You can do whatever in the meantime.
Once their meeting concluded, the members of the demon sealing faction returned to their living quarters to rest. Many of them decided to log out of Cultivation Online to train their real bodies on Earth. After logging out, Meishio left her room to visit Uro and the Eternal Lotuses, who had risen to become the second strongest faction on Earth in the last several years.
It's been a while, Senior Sister Meishio.
As she passed through, the members of the Eternal Lotuses bowed their heads, greeting her with utmost respect. Although Meishio wasn't officially part of their faction, she often visited to train them. The other members of the demon sealing faction would also stop by from time to time, but with everyone following their own schedules, it had become rare for them all to gather together.
Are you here to train us today, or are you here for Senior Sister Uro?
The members approached her and asked.
I'm here for Uro today. I'll train with you all next week.
She said.
Okay.
Meishio arrived at their courtyard a few minutes later, where at the center stood a tall, beautiful woman instructing a group of younger girls. The woman had long, silky black hair and warm brown eyes. Her very presence radiated a natural grace that drew people to her.
Your posture is wrong. Move your hip a little to the right, and straighten your back some more. Yes, Senior Sister Yu.
The woman was none other than Uro. Meishio didn't disturb their training and waited for them to be done. An hour later.
Okay, we will end our training here today. We'll continue next week at the same time. You're all dismissed.
As the group of females dispersed, Uro approached Meishio with a calm smile.
It's been 2 years, Meishio. How have you been? I just finished my journey and have returned to Kellen's sect for now. What about you? The same as usual. Training the newbies. Is it just your group that's returned? The others have returned as well. Everyone is safe and sound. That's good to hear.
Knowing that Uro will ask about Yuan, Meishio mentioned him first.
Unfortunately, Yuan is still away.
She said.
Is that so? Can't say I'm surprised.
Uro replied with a bittersweet smile. Don't be too hard on him. Uro chuckled softly.
Don't worry, I don't blame him at all. Still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little sad or lonely. I know he has a lot on his plate, but it's been nearly 20 years since I last saw his face. If you consider the other times he's been absent and how long we've been alive, it's about half of our lifetime. I know how it feels, but trust me, it will get better. I know. Anyway, what are you going to do now that you've returned? I'm going to rest a little before I continue my training at another place.
Meishio proceeded to tell Uro about Kellen's plans for the demon sealing faction.
So, you guys will be doing your own things separately, huh? It makes sense, considering you all have your own talents and path.
Sometime later, another presence approached them.
Hello, Sister Lianhua. Hey, Meishio.
Bai Lianhua returned the greeting.
Mind if I join? No, go ahead.
Bai Lianhua sat down beside them, and the three of them started chatting. After Meishio recalled the end of her training journey, Bai Lianhua spoke about the Eternal Lotuses and Earth's overall situation. Ever since Yuan opened the gateway between Earth and the Nine Heavens, flooding the world with spiritual energy, cultivators on Earth had advanced at a pace unlike anything before. Yet, no matter how far their cultivation rose, they soon discovered they could only wield the strength of a spirit grandmaster. This meant that even Spirit King cultivators on Earth were no stronger than a spirit grandmaster. Since Yuan secretly created the formation that limited everyone's cultivation, nobody but the demon sealing faction knew the cause of this phenomenon. Thus, much like the phenomenon of Cultivation Online, no one questioned it, choosing instead to continue their lives as usual. However, Meishio knew that things would not remain this way forever and that they needed another solution sooner or later. Congratulations, you have finished listening to the current content.